All right. So number one from your test three review. Yeah, I'm going to share the screen because some of them may not require much work. So let me switch over. And y'all see the question?
It looks different from what we've done.
Do you see
Is
number
that
one?
like, is this midterm?
This is unit three question.
Oh,
So we've talked about transformations and parabolas quite a bit already. Can you see the question on the screen, right? You said?
yes.
Okay. All right. So remember, if it's positive in the front, it's going to be opening up, right? So on this type of question, you don't have to show any work. It's just make sure you understand. I'm gonna and I'm not gonna include A or H. Those are just wrong right away, right? It's not that one. It's not this one. Now minus three, what does the minus three do? What does that do to the problem?
Doesn't that move it to down three?
Yeah, it has to go down three. So the only one that moves down, because you have to remember the original, right? The parent function that I sent y'all. So none of these are moving down. They're staying on the x-axis. And this one moves up. So that doesn't make any sense. So the only one that moves down three is this guy, right? So none of the rest make any sense. But just for fun, what does the plus two do? Well, actually, no, that's not right. This one could be right. So let's keep looking at it. So minus three, so it has to be one of these two because they're both at negative three. Yeah, there it is. Mhm. And the plus two shifts it to the left. So it has to be this guy, right? Any questions on the first one? All right, so that's
Yeah.
all right, go ahead.
No, no, sir, no questions.
Okay. All right, let's look at number two. Can y'all still see number two? Um, yeah, there it is. So I'll write this one down just so you have some notes. Number two, identify the vertex and axis of symmetry. So what is the vertex? We said vertex was h comma k, right? Given your general form. Okay. So the h will always be the opposite. So the answer would be the 4, 9, right? Just make this minus this one just the way it is. Do y'all remember where the axis of symmetry happens?
In the center, like in the middle of the line.
Yeah, it's always in the center. So it's always going to be x equal to a number. It's going to be the h. So in this case, the -4. So here are two answers. And some notes. Any questions on 2?
I need a minute to write it down. The note vertex h comma k is the h is the 4 and the 9 is the
Yeah,
k, right?
h will be the 4, but it's always opposite, whatever it is. So if it's negative, then it'll be plus h. If it's plus, it'll be minus h. So this became -4.
Yeah. So that would be the vertex, the middle, kind of.
Mhm.
The axis of symmetry is the x, where it crosses the x area.
Yeah, the x value of the vertex would be what you use for the symmetry. All right, next one. You now see the screen?
Um,
Alrighty, so here they're giving us the vertex at -1, -3. Then they're giving us the graph. So all they want to know is what's the domain, what is the range. So what do y'all think about the domain?
Infinity something
Yeah, right.
or
Going forever in both directions.
negative. So it will be this negative infinity, then to the other side will be positive infinity. Am I right?
Yeah. So negative to positive. So it just keeps going both directions. So it covers everything eventually. Does that make sense? But it's touching all the x's eventually.
Yeah, that one makes a lot of sense to me.
The range, you just go up and down. Like what's the highest point and what's the lowest point? The highest it ever gets is the vertex, right? So where did I mess it? It's going down. My bad. Oh, yes. Guess I'm a little tired. So the most negative and lowest one always goes first. So it's negative infinity all the way until -3. Sorry about that. All right, so that's number 4 or 3. 4 is the same type of deal. Let's go to 5.
Mm.
Okay, so this one you can do it in a few ways. You can put it into standard form using your completing the square method, or you can use a formula to find the vertex, or you could graph it and try to find it. The easiest way I say is the formula. If it's already multiplied like this, it's not in that pretty factored form. So I recommend the formula for this one. This is number 5. Oops. Shit. Sorry, guys. Again. Sorry. Switch over.
Number 5, right?
Yeah.
You just factor it or no?
And there's quite a few ways. There's a few ways to do it. I'm gonna do it the easiest possible. Actually, it tells us to use the formula. Okay. So we'll make you a note right here. So the vertex is HK. H will equal -b divided by 2a, and then k will equal the function at that number. Okay, so this is your note right here. So this is for this general form. Okay. Here's my note. Here is the question. 3x squared minus 42x minus 114. So h will be equal to -b over 2a, which will be -42 over a, which is 42 divided by 6, which is 7, right?
Yes.
All right, so there's h. To find k, we got to plug that in, and then you'll have it. You'll get 3 times 7 squared minus 42 times 7 minus 114, right? Yeah. Let's see what that is. 3 times 7 squared minus 42 times 7 minus 114. So -261 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 So vertex will be 7 comma negative 261.
And you're just using A and B for this one, no C.
Yeah, you don't need C for the vertex. No.
And then you, after you like finish with the formula negative B over 2A, then you get the answer, plug it into the actual formula, and it gives you the answer.
Yeah, so you use a formula and you get the H, and then you plug in the H to get the it's called K.
Yeah.
So you can do that for any time it's not written nicely like this one. See how this one you can see what the vertex is because it's in this form, but if it's multiplied out, it's gonna look like this. So you get this would be the easier route. Instead of forcing it back into the other form, using this is better. But you can do whatever you want, just one's easier.
Yeah. Can I continue to see the work you did? Trying to look at it.
Yeah, it's still there, you can see it.
I'm just looking at it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Question number 5. Let's see.
So when you solved it, like 3 times 7, like which one goes first? The parentheses.
Yeah, you square it first. So 49 times 3 would be we should multiply, right? So 7 times 7 is 49, then 3 times that.
Yeah.
And then these need to be multiplied first, 42 times 7. Once everything's multiplied, then you start subtracting and adding.
Yeah. And then you add the rest. You just combine everything.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, you do the parentheses, right? Like it just does it depend on the
What do you mean?
does it
Negative.
depend on the does it depend on like does it matter like which way we solve it though? Like if there's another way or something, or is it like the easiest? Or
Yeah, this is the easiest method other
okay,
than graphing it.
yeah.
All right. So the next one, we'll do one of these and then we'll move on to something else because there's like 3 of these. This is number 7. It's basically the same question as before, right? It's a child kicks a ball, blah, blah, blah. Basically, this parabola is modeling the ball in the air. So we know the maximum always happens at the vertex, right? So if x is time and t and y is height, then h would be your when it would happen and k would be how high it went. Okay. I'm gonna shorten this question up. And I'm going to use X instead of T. All right. Find the maximum height of the ball. Find when the ball hits the max. The vertex HK. H is equal to negative B over 2A, which will be negative 8 divided by 2 times 16, right? So,
Sir, it's a negative 16.
oh yeah, thanks. So this will become positive. 32, what is that? 1/4? G. Yeah, should be good. K will be F of 1/4, which is equal to negative 16 times a fourth squared plus 8 times a fourth plus 5. Let me double check. Well, actually, I could just hit solve, I guess. So this would be 6 feet. 16, 1, negative 1 to be 2 minus 1 is 1 plus 5, 6. Yeah. Okay. So this right here is the first part. This right here would be how long? So 1/4 of a second, I believe. Yeah. Or 0.25 seconds. He kicks it, hits 6 feet in 0.25 seconds.
This could be done in the calculator, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can graph it. You can punch these in the calculator if you want. Oh, well, all we're looking for is the peak, the vertex, and understand what each part means, right? The independent variable is time, dependent is the feet or the height. That's all you gotta know.
Negative 16 times 1/4 is negative 4, right? And
1/4
then you
squared.
on the first part, and then you square root that, or do you just square root the 4 first, the 1/4?
You gotta know your rules of operation, right? Parentheses and
Yeah.
exponent first. All right. So that's number 7. I'll move on to something else. You have any questions on what they're asking and how you find it?
Just give me a second, sir. Writing. Writing it down. Um,
All right, let's go to number 9.
all right.
So this is more of the stuff we did recently. So let's say first part of the exam will be about parabolas that we just talked about. Can you graph them? Can you find the vertex? Can you find the axis? And maybe like a basic word problem like this. Then the next few questions, it's going to be the end behavior. Do y'all remember? I sent you that note. We said if it's odd and if the leading coefficient, right? We said if this is positive and the degree is odd, then it's going to be which type? It's going to have this, I think, ending and beginning. Do you remember?
I think I have the answer, sir. So if it's a positive odd, a positive, was it, then it would be, if it's a negative infinity, then it would stay negative infinity, and then the second would be a positive infinity, then it would stay a positive infinity.
Yeah, so as it goes to the left, it goes downward. If it goes to the right, it goes up. And that's what this is saying. The end behavior, up and down.
Yeah.
If it was even, then they'd both be going up. Unless it was negative, they'd both be going down. And if this was negative, it would just switch. So I would make sure you put that printout I sent you on Remind and on the chat box. Put that on your notes for your exam. Do you have any questions on number 9? Okay. So on this one, they want to know what the zeros are. So what are the zeros by looking at it? Right, each of these factors gives you a 0. Yeah, for sure, 1 and -2, but also 0, right? The first one. Okay. Now, remember what we said about multiplicity. The power on there is the multiplicity. So the 0 has a 2 on it, right? The part that creates a 0 with 0 has a 2. The 1 makes this part 0, and it has a 3 on it. -2 makes this 0, and it has a 2. So multiplicity 2, 3, 2. Is there any questions on how we find this?
Yeah. Like, where you got? Did you get 2 from the 0? Like, I'm confused.
The what?
Like, where'd you? I was wondering where you got it from.
Which one?
The last part. 0 is a multiplicity of 2. Then 1 is 3. -2 is 2.
Yeah, it's basically the power on top right here. So since 0 makes this 0, and it has a power of 2, you say multiplicity 2. 1 is a 0, right? Because 1 minus 1 would be 0. That has a power of 3, so it has multiplicity 3. -2 makes this 0, so this is multiplicity 2. Does that make sense?
It's because of the powers.
Yeah, the powers on the zeros tell you the multiplicity.
Oh.
Right, you see what the zeros are, right?
Yeah. What if it didn't have a power? Like, what if it just had no power? Would it be
Then
like a zero?
it'd be
Or
multiplicity 1.
all right.
If it's not there, assume 1. I think we did that on the notes last time. Any other questions on this one? On this one?
No, sir. I'm kind of trying to go on my own pace since it's easier to understand.
Okay, on this guy, I would just try to do rule things out. So they all have multiplicity 1, right? All the zeros. And we said if they're odd, they would go through. So it has to go through every single time. You can't bounce. It looks like well, first of all, what is the degree of this whole thing? And is it positive or negative? Is that you can use end behavior to cross the two answers out of the way. We can rule 2 of them out.
The outside is a 2.
Yeah, so it's positive. And we have 1 factor, 2 factors, 3 factors, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is even, right? So it has to be opening upward, and because it's positive and it's even. So right away, these are wrong, right?
So if so, how'd you get that again?
Do you see why this is degree 4?
Are you talking about?
Right? Every factor counts as a power. So you can add them up and say, well, there's 4 factors, so it has to be degree 4. So if you were to multiply everything, you'd end the highest power you would get is a 4.
Oh,
You get a bunch of other stuff, but we know that the highest power is what tells you about the degree. Yeah, it has to be B because these zeros are right there, right? 0.2, negative 0.1. So it's going through the right spots.
it I think it's just you simply just have to see where it hits.
Yeah,
Because like I crossed out A and C first because they didn't look right to me.
yeah, for sure. A is too big, right? The numbers, the zeros.
Yeah, and I was left with B and D, and then I looked at D, and D was not was there was no reflection, so I knew that there was something going on with it.
Yeah, you can rule them out pretty quickly if you remember the degree and the end behavior and your zeros. That's good. It's enough to find the answer. So it should be B. So you're right. Does that make sense? Like how we ruled it out?
Uh, sort of, but I was wondering, like, where do we find like two? Like, where does two come from?
The 2 is just basically telling you if it's negative or positive. It doesn't matter.
Uh,
I mean, it does affect the graph, but to eliminate these graphs, the only thing that matters is it a positive or negative? If there was no 2, then you would have an imaginary 1, right?
I feel like we don't even need to have to like worry about the where it intersects. It's like if if it if it's not big and it's not going down like a reflection, then that's the answer. I don't think we need to worry about the points.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the question. Like for me, it's pretty clear, but I can see the points right away and it's opening up. The rest don't make any sense to me. I would
Yeah,
think B right away because the zeros are right there.
yeah.
These two have zeros way far away, though that doesn't make any sense. Like there's no 5 or 15 on here.
Yeah, it's really just about dumbing it down to if it's reflecting or not. If it's reflecting, it would usually show the sign that's reflecting.
Yeah. Yeah. If you that helps a lot too. So opening up or down. For sure. Okay. On this one, they want us to factor. So let's do this on paper. This is number 13. Write it down, simplify. State the restrictions on the variable. Write the instructions or the question first. The part one, simplify. So how does the top part factor? The difference of squares, right? E plus 7, E minus 7, right? And then how does this factor? You remember? The bottom part?
P minus 7 and P minus 5.
Minus 7. Yeah, that'll work. So right away you see the cancellation, right? So this is the simplified form that they want. So that'll be part one. Just type this in. Okay. But now that it's in this form, what's the well before I guess part two was restricted values. Let me see. What are the restricted values? So this factors the trinomial, right? The factors of 35 that add up to negative 12. Negative 7, negative 5 adds up to negative 12. If you multiply them, you get 35. Doing the trial and error factoring.
So the first part you just factor and that's how you get it.
Yeah, they want this for part one.
Oh, they want that answer. All right.
Yeah, this is the answer. But we need to put it in this, we need this form in order to answer part two, because the denominator tells you what's restricted. What are the restricted values?
Um, the ones that are crossed, like um the p minus 7 is restricted.
It's the two factors at the bottom. Set the
Yeah.
denominator to 0 to find them. So basically you set p minus 7, p minus 5 equal to 0, which means you can set each one to 0. But most of the time you can kind of see it straight up, right?
You put p minus 7, not p plus 7, because the other one is p plus 7, sir.
No, it's fine. It's in here. So your restricted values are these.
So why is it p minus 7 and p minus 5?
Because you take the denominator, set it to 0, and then you solve. So that's when, so these are the numbers you cannot use, because if you plug them in, you get zeros on the bottom. So right away you can see, like, oh, if I put a 7 right there, that's a problem. If I put a 5 here, that's a problem. So the restricted values are 5 and 7. But this is how you would find them if you couldn't find it. If you couldn't see it, this is how you do it.
Oh, is it because they're both on the bottom? Is that why?
Yeah, because of division by 0. Mhm. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Is there any question on that? Or is it okay? That's why they get this part, and this is the two you cannot use.
It becomes a um it becomes a positive. They both become positive.
Yeah, when you solve for set for P.
All right. Um okay, looks like I got it right.
It's 14.
14 is the same, or it's not? Oh,
No, it's a little bit different. You want the domain. So write the domain in interval notation. So remember we did this last week. Basically use the restricted value to find the domain. So what is the restricted value?
x minus 5.
So set the denominator to 0, right?
Yes.
Solve. So this is the problem area. Step 2, find the intervals. Around the restricted value. Because everything else is cool except this number. So you just gotta say it in math symbols. Right? So there's a hole at 5. So everything after 5 is cool. And everything before 5 is cool. So you would write 5 to infinity is everything after. And everything before. So the domain would be this. Oh, yeah, it's y'all can see this?
I see it. Is it
Maximize
because
your
of the
zoom
value?
window. Yeah.
If it's a restricted value, then it automatically is cool with negative infinity and positive infinity.
Yeah, so if you have one restricted value, you want to plan after and before.
Does that apply to like, let's say if it's like an x minus 7, for example? Like, does it apply to any number?
Yeah, any restricted value, you just so think of it this way. The domain is everything except 5. So how do I write that? Well, like this. Everything before 5, everything after 5. So if your function has a restriction, well, the domain is everything else. Okay, that's what this means.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions on number 14?
No, sir.
Let's do 15. See what's 16 like. Okay. So in this one, they want us to identify the asymptotes. So remember that note I sent you how to find asymptotes? I would open it up if you have it. And if I would also put that on your formula page or note page. Okay. Okay. So vertical asymptotes is part 1. Do you remember how to do it? Well, what we did on Tuesday, Thursday? Set the denominator. Yeah, equal to 0. That's right. So we got to factor this. Whenever we have 4 terms, what is the best factoring technique? In order to solve it, we have to factor.
Is it grouping?
Yeah, we should do grouping. So these two have a GCF of x squared. These two have a GCF of -9. So factor the x squared and factor the -9, and we end up with this, right? factor out x minus 1, and we end up with this. And then this is the difference of squares, so we end up with 3 more factors, or 3 total. Any questions on the factoring in case you forgot?
Just give me a second, sir. I'm trying to write it down.
Yeah. Well, we're not done, but so far so good.
Sort of.
The ones you factor them, the whole goal of factoring is to be able to do this. So x is 1, x is -3, and x is 3. So these are the 3 vertical asymptotes. So on the exam or homework or whatever, you're going to put x equals 1, x equals -3, x equals 3 with commas. Just be careful with the spacing and all that.
So when you split those, that's the answer you would get.
Yeah, once you solve for x, yeah, these are the vertical asymptotes. Okay. Now, if you look at that notes that we said that I gave you, do we have horizontal asymptote? And if so, what is it?
Are we on part 2?
Part 1 right here.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah, it's going to be y equals 0 because the degree of the denominator is bigger, right? Look at the notes. It says the degree at the bottom is bigger than y equals 0 is the asymptote. Use your notes so you don't have to memorize all that stuff. Y equals 0 would be your answer.
It's required me to use the parentheses equals, sir, because I would try to do like x equals and it wouldn't count it, even though I got the answer.
It should be written like this.
Did you use the bar equals thing?
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
You used it?
Use this and then put a comma right after. So this and then
Yeah.
comma.
It would never count it. I don't know why.
Yeah, you have this. It's very finicky.
Very picky.
But if it happens on a test though, let's say you put in the right stuff and it marks it wrong, just let me know and I'll fix it. It's not a big
Alright.
deal. For homework, I mean, just redo it. But for an exam, I can fix it for you.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to let me know. All right, so that was 15. What is 18?
It
16.
it
Okay.
got apparently I got it wrong, even though my answers were the same, sir.
Yeah, you
I
mean, you did
ordered.
that last time. You probably put a space in a weird spot.
No, I did what I was supposed to. I have the same number and the order's different. Like I typed in mine, but I have the same answers, but the order's different. Because I had like -2, 2, and -3, and this did -3, 2, and -2.
Right, so
It's kind of concerning, sir.
Just redo it. It'll be fine. But if it happens in the test, let me know. I'll fix it for you. I'll give you a full credit. Don't stress about it. Okay, let's move on. This is our last question. So this one we're kind of working backwards. You could technically graph each one and match it with these these 4 things of information. But if we were gonna use this information to rule these out, right? Let me write this down. Like if you didn't have anything to match. A function that meets these conditions. X-intercepts are 4, 0 and 5, 0. Vertical asymptote is x equals -5. Horizontal asymptote, y equals 1. Y-intercept is 0, 4/5. All right. So these are zeros. That's the same as an intercept. Okay. So that means that at the very top, I need to have the factors that would make them 0. So I should have x minus 4, x minus 5 on top. So that's going to be on the very top. Multiply that nonsense out. X squared minus 9x plus 20. So any answer that doesn't have this would be wrong. So it has to be A or D. Yeah, A or D.
So the first points that it's giving to you, those transform into negatives.
Yeah, because these are the zeros, so they have to be factors in order to be zeros. So this tells you can do this. Okay.
And then the bottom. Oh, never mind.
On the bottom was the vertical asymptote. So this tells you that we should have an x minus 5 down here. And since the horizontal is y equals to 1, then that means that the degree of the top and bottom must be the same. So this has to have a square in order for it to have the same degree on top and bottom. So when you multiply it out, you're going to get this. So it has to be A or oops, actually this should be plus. Yeah, it'll be D. Anyway, that's what they want you to do is use all this information, understand the relationship between this and a graph, and kind of work backwards. Using clues, build a function. But you could technically graph it if you wanted to. Yeah, do you have any questions on number 16?
I have a question.
Hmm.
The x, did you transform the -5 to a +5 and square root that?
The x. What do you mean? Which one?
The -5, you transform that to an x plus 5 square root or square. Yeah.
Yeah, so this -5 told me that this is x plus 5 should be at the bottom. But the square was given by knowing that the degrees must be the same. So I couldn't just put a single one. I had to put a 2. If I put only one, then um, I won't get this horizontal. So understanding all the pieces will let you build a function. So 16 is a great question without doing it without graphing because it'll force you to understand every little part about asymptotes, zeros, factors, and intercepts and all that stuff. But anyway, uh, yeah, I'll leave the rest to you. We'll stop here, I guess. And let me take roll and see if you have any questions.